Willy Wonka riding space worms. It's epic. K-Dog's movie review. Dune Part 2 is directed by Denis Villeneuve and stars Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Austin Butler, and a bunch of other people. Since this is a new channel, I'll say my quick thoughts on Part 1. It's good. I love me a good science fiction movie, especially one that isn't afraid to take its time. Denis Villeneuve knows how to throw you into another world, soaking the viewer in beautifully crafted wide-angle shots, slow abstract music, unique costumes and characters, and, for lack of a better phrase right now, weird fucking shit. Part 1 is a simple story that focuses a lot on world building and setup, but the way in which it was filmed really heightens the experience. It wasn't my favorite of all time, but I enjoyed it. And as someone who's never read the books, was interested in what was going to happen in Part 2. So I plopped myself down in the theater for nearly 3 hours. And I gotta say...
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yeah!
This movie is epic as fuck. It does nearly everything a good sequel is supposed to do. It's not perfect, but it's almost there. It retains the great things about Part 1 while amping up the story, action, and character development. Much like the first one, this movie isn't afraid to let the audience soak in the scenery for extended periods of time and bask in true sci-fi abnormalities. The cinematography is fucking awesome. Even if you're not that into the story of Dune, you can appreciate the beauty of the set design and camera work here. Much like Part 1, Denis is so good at creating this epic sense of scale. I felt like I was there with the characters on screen, experiencing the wonders and horrors of this universe. Whether sweeping over the gigantic spice miners, watching a gladiator-esque Baron fight, or diving deep into the sand dunes, I was fully engaged in the surrounding. Absolutely a 4K Blu-ray buy just for the visuals. The sound design is also great. Much like the visuals, it can go from being incredibly bombastic to just very intimate. Similar to the first movie, there's a lot of sci-fi, whoa, but when the action and story really ramps up, the music keeps pace. A story is only as good as its characters. This movie does an excellent job of giving our heroes and villains depth. You understand everyone's motivations within this revenge story and believe the conflicts amongst each other. I was invested in the conversations our characters were having and the romances that developed. This movie does a wonderful job of balancing our characters' personalities within their epic fantasy stereotypes. The heroes, the lovers, the religious, the maniac villains. The basic traits are there, but this movie knows when to enhance those and when not to. There was only one character I really had a problem with, and that was Javier Bardem's. They really make him out to be more of a comedic character in this movie. He was funny, but the tone felt a little disjointed. Kinda took me out of it. I could go through them all individually, but everyone does a phenomenal acting job here. I especially enjoyed Chalamet's performance towards the third act. He played the straight-educated prince well in the first one, but I was surprised with how good he does when the story and action ramp up. When he needs to step up and become this heroic figure, that transformation is great. Also, shout out to Zendaya. She has some moments in this movie with no dialogue, but you can still feel the emotion and understand what's going on with her character by just looking at her face. Great acting. Also, Austin Butler played the perfect villain. Overly creepy that you love to hate. The story is probably my least favorite thing about this movie. We know exactly where it's headed. It plays out as an epic fantasy science fiction should, but it's done in an interesting and engaging way with characters I care about and weird shit going on in the background. So I was fine with it. It also has many satisfying moments. My only negative is that the ending feels a bit rushed, and I'm not really sure where they're going to go with part 3. I'm actually not really sure if I even care. I'll talk more about this in the spoiler section. So overall, I had a great time with this movie. It's long, a little under 3 hours, but I didn't care because I was distracted by the beauty of the scenery, the growth of the characters, and the epic scale of the action. I'd highly recommend seeing this in theaters if you can. I only really wanted to address the story here. Again, I haven't read the books, so I have no idea how faithful these adaptations are or what's supposed to happen. As a fantasy epic, I was satisfied with Paul becoming the holy symbol for the Fremen and defeating the barons and the Emperor. The end battle, though, felt very rushed. I was fully expecting a longer siege, and potentially even the movie ending during the battle. I was legitimately surprised at how quickly they reached the Emperor. I was satisfied with how it played out, but I wanted to bask in it just a little bit more, much like the rest of the movie does. As a casual fan who's heard this is supposed to be a trilogy, I'm not really sure I'm interested in seeing what happens next. I'm not as interested in the houses coming to fight since we haven't seen much of them. I suppose the Emperor isn't dead, so he could pull some shenanigans, but I felt him kissing Paul's ring was the satisfying conclusion I needed. The barons who betrayed his house are dead. I'm interested to see what happens with Zendaya, I guess, but most of the beats of the story I feel satisfied with. Please let me know what you guys thought of Dune Part 2 in the comments below. Did you like it more or less than the first movie? Also, can you recommend to me other weird sci-fi shit? Till next time.